My name is Rachel, and I am the mother of Hersh Goldberg Polin. He is my eldest child, and he is my only son. Today is the 67th day that Hersh is being held hostage in Gaza. Hersh is a dual American-Israeli citizen, and he is a civilian. Before being kidnapped by gunpoint from the music festival he was attending, his dominant left arm was blown off at the elbow, so he is now also wounded and disabled. In Gaza, at this very moment, as we all stand here, there are 138 being held. They range in age from 10 months to 85 years old. They are from nations all around the globe. They are Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists. They have not been attended to nor treated by any international aid organization that exists. They are injured. They are starving. They are in pain. They are in fear. They are in torment. And they are dying. And we, their families, want to ask you to look at their photos, read their names, and then replace their names with the name of your own daughter, son, father, mother, brother, sister, spouse, grandparent. And we want you to tell us that you would do exactly what you have been doing for these past 67 days to get them out. Look us in the eye, all of us hostage families, and tell us that. We all remain sleepless, and we all are running to the ends of the earth. We are the best actors in the world. We act like people, when really we are other beings frozen in our acutely agonizing desolation. But this is the second week of Advent on the Christian calendar, when the theme is peace. And so I must have hope. In the middle of the holiday of Hanukkah right now, I have to look for light in the darkest of places. And I have to pray that what happened to our predecessors over 2,000 years ago will happen again, a miracle in our day. On Friday night, October 6th, right before Hersh left to go to that fateful music festival that would change our lives forever, one of the last things I did was I blessed him. See, on Sabbath evenings, Jewish parents for millennia have traditionally blessed their children to be like specific biblical characters. Jewish boys are blessed to be like the sons of Joseph, who were named Ephraim and Manasseh. It's an intriguing choice, given that there's so many more well-known biblical characters: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, David, Solomon. So why do we bless our boys to be like these two not so well-known brothers? Up until Ephraim and Manasseh, all biblical brothers suffered from destructive hatred and poisonous rivalry. Cain and Abel, Isaac and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau, and then there was Joseph and his brothers, those brothers who hated Joseph so intensely. They threw him deep into the ground. But Joseph ends up in Egypt, and he goes on to get married and have two children named Ephraim and Manasseh. And those brothers, they loved each other. It sounds so simple, but suddenly, for the first time in history, we have biblical siblings who broke the pattern of hatred between brothers. And every Friday night, Jewish parents all over the world bless their sons to aspire to be like them. The brothers who didn't fight, the brothers who didn't have jealousy, the brothers who didn't manifest violence toward one another. We are at a crossroads. And when I say we, I don't mean we Jews, Muslims, or Christians, Americans, Palestinians, Europeans, Israelis, Ukrainians, Russians. I mean we humans. We can keep dividing the world into the paradigm of them versus us. Or we can start thinking about those who are willing and those who are not willing. And there are people everywhere who fall into each category. The whole premise of compromise is being willing to do something I don't want to do, but I am willing to do it. To give up on something I hold so dear for something I hold even more dear. There are people all over the world who are willing, not because they're naive or foolish. It's because they want their children to live in a world that doesn't exist right now. And so they have the courage to be willing to do things that are terrifying and uncomfortable. They're willing to do things that are scary. I also know that on both sides of any conflict, there are those not willing, no matter what the price will be for their lack of willingness. There is anguish so deep, suffering so profound, and rage so ingrained that there are people ready to lean over, take everyone with them, and fall into the abyss. And I don't mean the metaphorical abyss. I mean the actual abyss. In the Bible, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, there's a curious exchange where God gives the people a choice and says, I am putting before you today life and death, and I am telling you, choose life. In our world right now, there is nothing more frightening than choosing life. It's an idea that will require the most brave, creative, heroic efforts and strengths imaginable for those who are willing, amidst ongoing trauma, angst, and suspicion, to build an idea of a future. In most conflicts, there are two sides, and neither side is going anywhere. So all over the world, we have got to learn to live together, or all over the world, we are going to die together. I will conclude with a poem that I wrote for a woman in Gaza. She knows who she is. It's called One Tiny Seed. There is a lullaby that says, your mother will cry 1,000 tears before you grow to be a man. I have cried 1,000,000 tears in the last 67 days. We all have. And I know that way over there, there's another woman who looks just like me, because we are all so very similar. And she has also been crying. All those tears, our sea of tears, they all taste the same. Can we take them, gather them up, remove the salt, and pour them over our desert of despair, and plant one tiny seed? A seed wrapped in fear, trauma, pain, war, and hope, and see what grows. Could it be that this woman, so very like me, that she and I could be sitting together in 50 years, laughing without teeth because we have drunk so much sweet tea together, and now we are so very old, and our faces are creased like worn-out brown paper bags, and our sons have their own grandchildren, and our sons have long lives. One of them without an arm, but who needs two arms anyway? Is it all a dream, a fantasy, a prophecy? One tiny seed.